in, sir?
Yeah, please do. Ji, good afternoon. Take your seat.
Thank you, sir.
You're Sanjita, right?
Yes, sir.
Sanjita, I can see that you're basically from Odisha, Rourkela.
Yes, sir.
I can also see that you did your mechanical engineering in year 2012.
Yes, sir.
That was from College of Engineering and Technology in Odisha, Bhubaneswar.
Yes, sir.
2012.
Yes, sir.
What are you doing since then?
Sir, I was posted as a manager in Rourkela Steel Plant, Steel Authority of India Limited. I worked there for 5 years, sir.
Okay, then?
Then I always wanted to prepare for civil services, but doing the job, and I was not able to do justice to my job. So I decided to quit the job finally and prepare for civil services.
Oh, but you also mentioned that you got through the state civil services in 2017.
Yes. No, 2017, sir. The result came out in 2018.
Okay.
So by the time the results came out, the mains exam was there of 2019. My husband got transferred to Mumbai. So there was a lot of chaos which was going on then. So I decided to take leave from that. I have not joined a
You have
state
not joined,
case.
but you qualified.
Yes, sir. I
Which
qualified.
service did you get?
I got
Administrative services.
Administrative services.
And when is the next batch when you'll be joining if you're not through with the civil
Sir,
services?
I have to go back to talk because I had applied for extension twice. They had granted me twice. The third time they've asked me to personally come down there to visit, and then only they'll be provided.
So what's your plan if for some reason you're not able to get through this interview? Will you be joining Odisha Civil Services or not?
For the time being, I'll not be joining the Odisha Civil Services because my husband is transferred to Mumbai, Maharashtra for like 10 to 12 years now. So if I join the state PSC, I'll have to stay away from him for a very long time. So
That rules out civil services to a large extent also.
Sir, in this UPSC, I have not opted for Odisha as my home cadre.
Doesn't matter. It's an AISL. It's All India Service Liability. You may end up being Andaman Nicobar. You may end up in being Northeast.
Definitely, sir. But growing up, becoming a collector, becoming an IAS officer was what I always wanted to become.
Becoming deputy collector is as important as becoming collector for that matter.
So that will take quite a lot of time by the time I reach deputy collector in Odisha state. So it's not that faster. And in Odisha, I always knew somehow in this state, I'll be confined to Odisha actually in my state PSC, and my husband cannot come back to Odisha for like 20 years now. By any transfers,
Sangeeta, I don't want to offend you, but it appears right now that it's getting too much husband, too much family for a professional civil servant to be talking about. Do you believe that you're capable of managing your family life and administration efficiently as required in the civil services? I'm very honest here.
So life is all about much of the uncertainty, and I obviously cannot predict what kind of cadre I'll get when I get into UPSC. So I'm just trying out my options over here, and obviously
civil services is too big an ambition to be actually playing a dice game.
No, sir. These are the choices which I had with me. So I made a choice of not taking my home cadre. But if I get anywhere, because I just wanted to keep a work-life balance, which I thought if opting for this...
Which is what I'm saying there is missing. It's all life, it's all family, there's no work here.
No, sir. I was just trying to find a balance in that. If it's not possible, at least I'll be happy at my work front because I want to become an IAS officer, to become a collector. So if I get IAS and get posted in any place, I'll try to manage that.
And if you don't get IAS, you have filled other choices incidentally.
Yes.
It's not that you have not filled other choices. So you have filled police services, you have filled other choices. What will you do if other central services are granted to you and you are not in position to join your husband in Maharashtra, and it appears your husband has decided that whatever you want to do, I will not be changing my place?
No, that is not the position right now, but I'm trying to pursue my dream, my aspiration, which I wanted to since a very long time. So
in your opinion, can you name a few working women you know, I mean in the public domain, which you believe have achieved this work-life balance, as you said, and you believe that she's the one you would like to follow? Name one.
I had read about Rupa Mudgal ma'am, IPS officer. Her husband, she shifted to a very small village, and then her children were also living with her. Her children had to attend a very small school over there, and she had to sit on the floor, but she managed it, and the family was all there together with her. So I think so somehow, so work-life balance is something I'm striving to do. If it doesn't happen, it's a chance which I'm trying to take, that maybe I'll be
you
able
studied
to.
sociology, and the kind of uncertainty you see in your life has lot to do with the social construct of ours. Can you name a few social institutions which has forced you into such a dilemma?
That in a house, the male is the bread earner, so the job he does, he doesn't change the places. A woman adjusts to the places where he
I'm
is.
expecting a sociological concept.
The patriarchal mindset.
One
which
is patriarchy, what else?
Patrilocal, where the husband stays, the wife
the
even.
society is patrilocal. What else? What are the social institutions that is making Sanjita what she is right now?
Marriage is
social institution of marriage.
One of the institution is marriage. Family, that family has to stay together. There's a concept of
Fine, thank you. So,
Sanjita,
Yes,
you are
sir.
from Odisha.
Yes, sir.
What do you know about Black Pagoda?
Black Pagoda is the Konark temple, is known as Black Pagoda. The Britishers, when they came down to Odisha from very far, it looked as a black pagoda to them, so they named Konark temple as Black Pagoda.
Okay, have you heard about Sub Pagoda also?
Sorry, sir, I cannot recall.
Okay, what is difference between Marxism and Maoism?
Marxism as a concept, it basically focuses on how economic structure is the basic foundation on which a complete society is built, and the superstructure which is there, it completely follows or evaluates what the economic structure is there. Maoism focuses on, I'm not getting the idea clearly right now. I'm sorry, sir.
Naxalites are also called Maoist.
Yes.
Do you know why?
They follow the Mao ideology that there has to be collective ownership of the land. They have to have, the community has to have rights on the land, the forest, whichever they call their own resources. So,
Okay, there are three temple architecture style in India.
yes, sir.
One is Nagara, Besar and Dravidian style.
Yes, sir.
In Odisha, which style is prevalent?
In Odisha, sir, Nagara style is highly prevalent.
Could you give some examples of Nagara style temple?
Sir, Lingaraj temple is a great example. Mukteshwar temple in Bhubaneswar is also a very good example. Sri Jagannath temple is one of the most biggest highlight of Nagara style. Konark temple is also an highlight of Nagara style. Sir.
Okay. What are the features of Dravidian style architecture?
Sir,
Main features.
Dravidian style architecture, the main Garbhagriha is a very small room, and then the Vimana which is made, it's like a layered Vimana which has in a pyramidal size. But in Nagara, it's in a conical shape, and in Dravidian culture, there is a very high Gopuram, gateway which is built for the Dravida style. But in Nagara style, we do not have high gateways. The Garbhagriha or the main sanctorum is the highest point in the architecture, and there's a very huge wall which is built around the Dravida style of architecture, which is not found in Nagara style of architecture.
Okay. What are your weaknesses being a lady?
So being a lady, I'll not be going into the gender aspect, because I don't think so the gender aspect has anything to do with that. That can be on both sides. I think I am a bit workaholic at times, which affects many things in my life, because I give too much of importance to when I start working on a specific project. And second is I fail to understand that the urgency which I have for the work is of priority to me, is of the same priority to the other person. So I try to push that. Maybe that can be called a weakness.
Okay. Thank you.
Sanjita, you are from Odisha.
Yes, sir.
What is the status of women in Odisha?
They have been making quite a progress, but still I would say there's a lot to be done, because the female employment in Odisha labor participation is hardly 20%, and there's huge feminization of agriculture in Odisha. Nearly 80% of people in Odisha stay in rural areas. So there's a huge migration of people from the southern districts of Odisha, and they have been doing well in education right now because the 10th board standard education report which came down, girls had performed better than boys. So they are progressing, but still I think there's a far approach that's still there they can do.
Okay, despite of the fact that Odisha is one of the richest area in terms of mineral storage or mineral mining, Odisha has not attained its potential in terms of development, economic development and social development. What is your take on that? What could be the reason for that?
The reason is the modernization process which we took up was very lopsided. We have around 20% of the mineral resources, but the extraction process, what we do is we directly try to export the minerals without much of value addition. So the actual realization of price was quite low. Second is the rehabilitation and resettlement of the tribal people.
No, I want to know that when mineral is being transported to some other state, why the industry was not established in that state only?
Because of the problem of the availability of land resources, which was one
Odisha
of the...
is lacking in land resources.
No, we have land resources, but there was too much of... When the POSCO plant came down, there was too much of agitation among the tribals, among the locals, because of which POSCO finally couldn't set up a plant.
So what make the people of Odisha to get agitated against such kind of project which is for their own development?
Sir, the problem is always a top-down approach. We always first decide and then we communicate. The people should have been taken into consideration. There has to be a proper dialogue to make people aware of all these things. There was instant, they went on and they started declaring these places will be taken up. So the grievances of the people were not rightly addressed, for which they came up in arms against the government, and they were not ready to give the land to
But there are a lot of processes which involve the local people in decision making process. One of those is EIA, that is Environment Impact Assessment.
Yes, sir.
What is it, and where an administrator plays a role in that process?
So environment impact assessment is an assessment which is made before any kind of venture or industries or any establishment is established to find out what are its exact impact which will be there on the social and environment of the surrounding areas.
Yes, people concern or people involvement is one of the steps involved in EIA process.
Yes, sir.
Then what is the problem? Why the people voice of people is not heard or
Sir,
not listened?
I think the involvement of people is there on paper only. In actual realization, there are some times which is hushed up, and people are actually not involved in the complete governance process, and they are not a part of it. Very few people, very few leaders, they get to...
What is disaster governance?
Disaster governance is a process by which there is a proper pre-planning of how to handle a disaster, then having a plan for that, then risk mitigation, and then rehabilitating the whole people after the disaster has occurred, and then re-preparedness.
How Odisha is leading by setting an example in the process of disaster management in the country?
Sir, this time in the Fani cyclone which hit Odisha, we have evacuated everyone, and the casualty was only...
What is the state bird of Odisha?
Blue jay, sir.
What?
Blue jay.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
What is the IUCN status of that bird?
I'm not sure, sir. I just know.
Okay, Sanjita.
Yes, sir.
Rourkela has a major steel plant of SAIL.
Yes, sir.
What do you know about the new national steel policy?
So the national steel policy aims to increase the production of steel to around 300 million ton by the year 2030, and we want to increase the per capita consumption of steel of people to around 160 kg by 2030.
Do you have any idea about the amount of production that we produce currently?
Yes, sir. Right now in 2018-19 it was around 110 million tons.
Million tons.
Yes, sir.
All right. And what is the ranking of India in terms of steel production globally?
Globally, it's second, sir.
Second. Okay. I think India recently pipped Japan.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
It did.
Is the steel sector one of the major contributors for non-performing assets, bad loans. Is it so?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, its finance is one of the biggest. It's a very capital intensive sector, steel sector, and steel demand is a cyclical demand. There was a huge downturn in the steel sector in 2014 to 16, where the prices of steel went down very far. So the cost of production was very high. We incurred a huge loss. Especially for SAIL, we took a huge loan from the market to expand there was a huge expansion plan. Because of this nature, and there was the high borrowed capital has a high cost in India specifically. So because of all of this, there was the steel sector had so many of downturns in the recent.
All right. And why public sector banks are so disproportionately affected in terms of bad loans?
Because of the dealings, they usually around 80% of the economy is dealt by the public sector banks, and the farm loan waivers which takes place, the cooperative banks, those all things, the bad loans pile up on the public sector units, and the infrastructure projects which have a very huge gestational periods, they are usually financed by the public sector banks. So the non-performing assets have shoot up because of that.
Can you please enumerate 2 or 3 most important reasons towards this issue of bad loans? Only 2 or 3 most important ones?
Reasons?
Yes, reasons for bad loans.
First is the issue of getting a land in time. So this increases the time of the project, which leads to rise of. The second, in the steel sector, which I have seen, the project was to be completed by a time which was extended to a timeline of around 5 to 6 years. This leads to rising of the debt in which SAIL had taken from the market. So completion of the project is another factor, and there are many cases which are pending in Supreme Court and High Courts, which again add further to this rising bad loans.
All right. And why do we import coal for steel sector even though we have abundant resources of coal?
Sir, the coal which is used in blast furnaces is coking coal. The coal which we have in India has high amount of sulfur, which cannot be used in the blast furnaces. So that's why we have to import good quality high grade iron ores from coal from Australia.
Right. You have a mechanical background. Can you please explain that are automobile companies ready for rollout of BS6 fuel all across the country?
They are trying. The research and development is not at completely at
but we have a target from 1st of April. Yes.
I am not sure about it, sir.
Not sure, right. And what is the concentration of sulfur in BS6 fuel?
I'm not able to recall now.
Right.
Sorry, sir.
You know, Oriya is a classical language?
Yes, sir.
What are the other classical languages in the country?
Tamil, Malayalam, Kannada, and Telugu.
And Sanskrit?
Sanskrit, sorry, sir.
Right. So, it is also in the news that Marathi community are demanding classical status for Marathi language. What are the criteria to accord this status?
First is the language has to be around 1500 years old. There has to be a complete discontinuation after a certain age of that complete language, literature, the history of that language. The third criteria I'm not able to recall. So there are 3 criteria.
No worries.
So, yes, Sanjita. Recently, World Trade Organization has given ruling against the India's export subsidies. Why it happened so? What are those export subsidies?
India and China still yet claim to be developing nations, and which is contested by US on many aspects, that because they have crossed a certain threshold in exporting a particular item like in textiles, so they cannot claim the status of developing nations anymore. So that's why they are providing many incentives which is disproportionately affecting the price of the commodities, which is making them competitive
so these
in the
are
global
like the
world.
basic reasons, like for negating the India's stand on in the WTO platform.
Yes.
Right. India already has got opted out of the RCP.
Yes, sir.
What are those reasons which are affecting the India's decision so far?
One of the basic reasons which India went out was they were wanting India to open up its market for the goods which has to come, but the similar reciprocation India was not finding from all the other sectors, from all the other countries, specifically in the service sector. And to send the working personals, Australia was not allowing to give a more open market to India, and we have a huge deficit with China. We already have a free trade agreement with all the Asian nations, but we do not have a direct free trade agreement with China, and this would have flooded Indian markets with cheap Chinese goods. So
what is Quad?
Quad is an association of 4 nations, India, Japan, Australia and US, which has been formed to provide an open and prosperous Pacific, Indo-Pacific.
Do we have the 2+2 mechanism with all Quad 4 countries?
I'm sure about US and Japan. I'm not sure about Australia, sir.
Right. In a recent judgment, Supreme Court in Sabarimala case has come out to principles. So the constitutional morality and the essentiality of the religious practices. What does these principles say?
Constitutional morality refers to the morality which has been enshrined when the constitution makers actually made the constitution, what they thought is proper for a society to be followed. And essential religious practices is confined to a particular religious denomination, that what they consider to be very essential for them to practice, which fits into their religious faith or belief.
Do you think with this principle, if any particular religion is, you can say, embedded with any religious malpractice, don't you think so, like the court there have a duty in terms of getting it eradicated, so that the larger larger section of the people within the religious fold could enjoy our the more religious freedom and get rid of those ill practices that will make the society, as you being a sociology student, more healthy.
I couldn't get. So can you please? I beg your pardon. Sir.
All right. So let's move forward. Okay. In Odisha, I believe there had been a Devdasi system in Odisha temples.
Yes, sir.
So that is believed that the girls before attaining their puberty, they were supposed to given to the temples.
Yes, sir.
This particular practice still is being followed and observed in Odisha temples?
No, sir, it is not followed.
It got abolished.
Yes, it got
Which
abolished.
particular act has got it abolished?
I don't know, sir. The act.
1947.
Okay, sir.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay, Sanjita.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that you like to, you're keen on exploring new places and cuisines.
Yes, sir.
Recently, this coronavirus was in news. Is in news actually.
Yes, sir.
And it is said that one of the reasons why it got, infected so many people is that it started with people having eaten unusual food. Do you believe that this trying out new cuisines is a dangerous thing?
At times where you are not aware what the actual ingredients are, so it is a bit dangerous. So I always take a precaution to try out places which are I follow TripAdvisor, any such places where I can get reviews about it, and then usually I do not venture too much into
adventurism.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Sanjita, you also are a keen explorer, as you said. Can you just mention a few places you observed today while you were coming here?
Today I was in the cab, so I was busy reading my notes, so I couldn't take my head up to observe today.
Can you mention few places which you passed on? Which you passed
today,
through?
While coming.
Yeah.
I noticed the GTB Nagar metro station I crossed there. Before that, I started from Karol Bagh. So after that, I saw GTB metro station. So I have lost track in the mid, sir.
Okay, so you're not that keen an observer as you mentioned here. Okay, GTB metro station, or for that matter, the Karol Bagh metro station was on your left side or the right?
GTB metro station was on my right side when I took a left turn over this side.
Okay, Sanjay, that was nice talking to you. You can leave
sir.
now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
आइए संजिता, please take your seat.
Thank you, sir.
So Sanjita, how long you have been in Delhi?
Sir, 5 days.
5 days. And you intend to stay till your interview?
No, sir.
You'll be going back?
Yes.
Okay. So how many interviews you have given already?
Once.
What's your take on this interview? What are the areas you believe that you're doing fine and where you believe that you're not doing that good?
The question which you asked, I knew that would be the family and work-life balance that I have to improve on a way I'll present it so it does not look negative as you pointed out. So that I'll think, Baki sir, you will.
See, Sanjita, my reading is that you're a wonderful candidate. I mean, unless you are hell-bent on spoiling your chances, I don't see any reason why. I mean, you're getting my point. You have answers for the most of the questions. Your analysis is really good. You have such good strengths.
Thank you.
But I don't know why you are underplaying your strengths and underlining your weaknesses. You're getting my point. If you look at the whole, my request will be that look at the video very carefully.
Okay, sir.
There's hardly a question for which you don't have a good answer. There's hardly a question. But you are very tentatively starting the whole interview. You're getting my point? You are a very good candidate, trust me. I mean, you have been working in a good PSU. Thereafter, you cleared a very important examination, right? Now you are appearing the civil services interview. You're not realizing the achievements you already have. These achievements should give some kind of a radiance on your face rather than being a tentative look which you unnecessarily carry.
So the last interview I was said that you're over enthusiastic, you smile a lot, so tone it
Smiling,
down.
that's
I maybe have toned it down a lot.
I'm not worried about the smiles. I'm not even saying that smile more. That's not what I'm saying. I'm merely saying that play on the strengths of your personality rather than the weaknesses.
Okay, sir.
Don't drive the boat to your weaknesses. Drive them to your strengths.
Okay, sir.
Okay, you getting my point? Okay. See, my understanding is that your entry is good, your voice level is good, flow is good, your vocabulary is strong, your hand movement is a problematic area that you'll be working on, and your eye contact is not the best. Right?
Okay,
About the eye contact, you need to understand, you had been a manager, you'll be able to understand that if you are looking at me, right? And when I'm talking to you, whatever the information is being transmitted, that is through words. Yes. But the trust building exercise is being done by the eyes, right? If you break eye contact and look elsewhere, you may or may not get their trust, but you will be losing mine. You getting my point?
I'm exactly not able to understand because they say when you're answering, you're supposed to look at everybody. No.
That's not the. I know there are schools of thought, and you'll have to do a bit research to decide which one to follow. But I've been doing it for 20 years. I'm explaining why it is important. Okay. If you're looking at me and you're talking to me, there'll be a trust between you and me.
Yes, sir.
If I'm looking there and talking to you, I will not have your trust. You're getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So primarily, you have to look at the person you're talking to, if possible in the eyes of the person. A few glances here and there will not hurt.
Okay, sir.
Okay, few glances here and there will not hurt.
Okay,
but if you keep a rotating eye contact, what will happen? You may or may not get their attention, but you'll be losing mine.
Okay, sir.
And what you'll be losing is trust. What you're getting is merely attention.
Okay, sir.
You're getting what?
Yes.
And there's a qualitative difference between attention and the trust.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I hope I made myself clear.
Yes,
you have to take a call, but this is what I understand. I've been doing it for 20 years. I'm telling candidates, and they generally are benefited by it. One thing. Second is again the initial part of it. You need to. I don't know why are you overplaying the family thing. You have been a wonderful working professional.
Yes, sir.
You were working in a very good PSU as in a supervisory role. So you acquired some skills there.
Yes.
Thereafter, there's a very small break.
Yes.
Even in that break, you have the achievement of cracking a state civil service examination, which you're not saying you have dropped. You're merely saying that you may join.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes.
You're likely to join.
Yes.
You don't even say may join, say likely to join.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then you're appearing the civil service. Everything is in place. Why are you bringing whatever is your weaknesses in between?
Yes.
You're not even lying. You don't have to lie anything of it. You're just merely saying that you were working in a PSU, then you decided to get into the civil services, for which you appeared in the state civil services, and the central civil, I mean the UPSC, you cracked the state civil services with good rank, you're awaiting a position there, and you have cracked the civil services. Everything is in place.
But I have not chosen Odisha as my home state, so then
it comes to, see, that's a different question. What is your cadre choices? There are many people who do not choose the home cadre for a variety of reasons. In your case, the simplest answer is, now I am married. My home cadre is based on my MICA, and I'm not choosing that because I no more stay in that place.
That's make it crisp, yes.
That's a simple thing. They will not be grilling you much on this, and even if they do, they will not be reaching to your weaknesses which are unnecessarily advertising.
I agree.
You don't need to.
Yes.
You get it?
Yeah.
I'm not even saying lie.
Yeah.
I'm merely saying that put it in a way that you are playing to your strengths.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's the major concern I had. Otherwise, you're doing most things absolutely right.
Okay.
Right? On analysis issue, make sure that you're able to put your sensitivity and analysis, because these are your strengths, put forward rather than letting it go factual, though your facts are also more or less correct. Right?
Okay, sir.
These are the only things I need to tell you. You're doing really well. I'm sure you'll do wonders.
Thank you so much. So, any other area I need to touch which...
See, state you can do as much as you want.
Yeah.
Both. If you're claiming it to be Maharashtra as well, do study a bit Maharashtra also.
Yes.
Right? Odisha, you have done. You could not ask questions on Maharashtra and all, because in an interview it is not possible to cover all. About this mechanical engineering thing, I hope you have done, because you've got a very good CGPA also, which is unusual. I hope you're able to defend your mechanical engineering also.
That is
somewhat.
okay.
Right?
I'll try.
All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.